Hello, angels. Welcome to the Daily Glow Up podcast. I cannot believe I am sitting here about to deliver my first ever podcast. I cannot believe it. Like, if you would have told me this last year, I would be in absolute total shock. I really still cannot even believe that this is my dream reality. Hosting this podcast has been on my heart and on my soul for the longest time, and I'm so excited that it's actually coming to fruition. The reason I really wanted to deliver the podcast, and everyone kept telling me podcasting is such a beast. Like, are you sure you want to get into podcasting? It's a lot of work. It's like a full-time job. And I absolutely silenced any person that came my way with that type of attitude, because I've always said in everything that I do, I am the exception to the rule, and your reality really does just mirror back to you your beliefs about things. And you will find if you're looking for things to be hard, they will be hard. And if you're looking for things to be easy, they'll be easy. Like my journey into what I've been doing and creating such easy, flowy success in my content creation and in gaining followers and in building, quite a lot of success with my book sales and everything that I've done in my offers. I have reiterated that belief the whole time, that this is easy and this is fun. Things don't have to be as complicated as we make them out to be. And that's been my motto from the get-go. And so that's going to be the exact same thing here with the podcast. I really wanted to do it mainly because I was so sick of trying to minimize and figure out a way to get my message across over Instagram and TikTok in literally just like 30 seconds. Like, everyone says, keep your videos under 30 seconds because people are just going to scroll on and they're not going to be interested anymore. And I'm like, how do I explain to people in under 30 seconds why manifestation isn't working for them? How in under 30 seconds can I explain the meaning of life? Like, I actually just was getting over the fact that I would have to sit there for ages and figure out the right words to try and condense such a non-condensed topic. It's something that I could sit and literally talk about for hours and hours and hours. And so welcome to the Daily Glow Up podcast. This is where I will be really diving into all things that I love, all manifestation, mindset, motherhood, all the things. And I'm so excited. So today's episode is particularly around manifestation because I do feel like I've had such a huge success story and everyone has been, I guess, really proud of me and what I've managed to overcome. And what has been bugging me along this process more than anything, and the clients that I work with in my manifestation coaching calls, is that everyone can have their dream life. Everyone is unconditionally loved by the universe, and it's their birthright to have whatever desire is in your heart and in your soul. And it bugs me so much to see so much wasted potential and so much life not being lived to the fullest, just due to the fact that they don't believe that it's possible. And on the flip side of that, I see a lot of people going for their dreams and manifesting their wildest desires. They're being so brave. They're putting themselves out there. And they're just not getting anywhere. They're falling flat. Or I see friends and I see family members who want their dream life. They want their dream home. They want to be homeowners. They want to have a career pivot. They want to have a relationship. And they say they're manifesting it, but then their reality is not reflecting that. And it's the biggest problem that I see. And people just put it down to, well, the universe must hate me, or, something's wrong, like manifestation isn't real anyway. It's just pure luck and coincidence. And that bugs me so much because it is not. We are manifesting every second of every day, whether you realize it or not, and whether it's conscious or subconscious. You don't realize that your actual being completely portrays and mirrors what's out there in the world. What I like to say to my clients, and what I've been kind of talking about a little bit on my socials as well, but this is going to be this next step further, is when you look at your life and you look at the concept of life, it is hard for anyone to really believe that this is all there is and to think of it from that logical standpoint. It's almost impossible for people to actually look at life and think, yeah, we just live and then we die and that's it. We must know deep within that there is something more than this life. So when it comes to manifestation, we can see it in a scientific lens, but I And I've done the scientific stuff. Like I've studied psychology at university. I've read all of the books of all the different people in the world that study it at a really high scientific level. And I will touch on the science, but the spirituality is what really changed things for me, and to try and see just how powerful we truly are, because we limit ourselves when we try and see ourselves just as this human body and just as this biology, if that makes sense. Okay, so if we look at what manifestation really is down to the key components, is your beliefs, your identity, your programming. The way that I see life is very similar to a video game. You want to think of it like you are actually the character in the game, but you're also the player that's playing the character in the game. And you are also the one who programmed the game, and you're also the one who directs the game, and you're also all the other characters in the game. Like you are everything. And when we talk about the law of divine oneness and this collective oneness of consciousness itself, from a really deep spiritual level, all the spiritual mentors I've worked with and who I've been mentored by have said that, infinite field of energy around us, which is, divine. We can call it the divine, we can call it source energy, we can call it the universe, we can call it whatever, we can call it God. That energy source is you. And it is your best friend, and it is your mum, and it is the chair I'm sitting on, and it is the pool that's next to me, and it is the sky, and it is the planets. Like it is all, when we actually zoom right in onto any object, it is all the same thing. It's literally empty space. It is energy. And when we're thinking of like the game of life itself, we like to think of the soul as like this portion in our body, right in our chest area, that is our being. It's our life force. Yeah. So when your body no longer is here, you deteriorate and you die, and you literally can see the life force escape from someone's body when they are dying. Like it is clear that our bodies mean nothing. There is something within us, the life force that is your soul, that escapes from you. And when it's there, it's obvious. And when it's not, it's definitely gone. Like there is a difference in that life force. And what I've come to believe as I've had more of my awakening and I've learned a lot more about mindset and spirituality is that actual warm light in what we think is our chest is much more a head to toe experience, and it also creates an aura around you. So there's no actual separation between my soul that's within me and then also the aura and then what spreads outside of me. So that energy it's almost like, I like to think of it like the ocean, because if you think of the ocean, it's all the ocean, but if you were to scoop a cup of water in the ocean, you would be holding the physical object of the cup with water in it, but it's still the ocean inside the cup. And I feel like that's very similar to what we are. It's like we are energy, we are the universe, we are spirit, and then we have a physical body that encompasses around our soul, our energy, and like the universal infinite field of wisdom that is everything and everyone. And so there is no real difference between me and the person next to me, because we are all the same source energy. We are all universe, except we have been given this beautiful opportunity to go into this video matrix simulation called Earth and to be a human and to experience an identity and an ego that has now become Molly. That is me. I'm this identity. And I've come to this experience with certain sets of rules and themes and lessons and karmic patterns and things that my soul really wants to explore, to experience itself and to expand and to have fun, to experience time. Because when, spiritual leaders and mentors talk a lot about the fact that there is no such thing as time in, spirit, like the time frame in different planets as well. Like if you've seen Interstellar, I feel like it's the best way for me to physically see and understand it. Like when you're traveling onto a different planet, time moves differently. And on Earth and in this reality, we have a time-space reality and everything is really slowed down. And so that's a beautiful experience to be able to almost like plant a seed and you get to watch it slowly unfold. You're not in this place where, if you knew exactly why we were put here, like if we truly knew everything, we knew all like the limitless eternal beings that we are and that nothing can phase us and we literally can control and create anything we want. There would be no meaning here. I really truly believe that we were put into this earth simulation, into this beautiful video game, if you call it, to experience the wide plethora of emotions and challenges, and to experience it almost in slow motion and not knowing the outcome and having no idea how things are going to unfold. And our egos and our identities, when I like to call it like your amnesia helmet, and I do feel like that that ego and that identity that we have when we're born is like an amnesia helmet that allows us not to fully remember who we really are and where we really come from. Because if we knew, it wouldn't have meaning anymore. We just genuinely wouldn't have meaning. And so I really like to think of it as it's okay for me not to know. But what's interesting is I am the universe. I do have that current of life force running through me that is connected to everyone and everything. So the most powerful things that have, can happen in nature, can happen with like a billionaire that you look up to that's so successful. You are made from the exact same stuff. And that makes me feel really powerful to know that I actually, even though I can't remember what's gone on and why I'm here and all the things, I do actually know really deep in my gut and my intuition, and it's unlocking that remembering. And a lot of what I teach you in the podcast and a lot of the concepts that I'm going to talk about aren't going to feel new to you. And that's what's really cool about spirituality is once you get locked into it and you start to have the awakening, you realize when you hear people talk about certain aspects in spirituality, you start to go, I don't know how, but I just know that to be true. It's not like you're learning something new, like a new skill at school or at university where it's like, I didn't realize that does that. Like you're not learning anything new. It's like this weird feeling of remembering it. Like it's a memory and you're like, that makes so much sense. And it just washes over you. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about in this podcast, you'll definitely feel this sense of remembering and just being like, wow, I don't know how I know that, but that just feels right. It feels like I know that that's the truth. And that is your soul remembering. It's your soul talking to you and your ego quietening down, your ego taking a minute to like actually chill and let your soul speak for once. So that's kind of the premise of what I believe the game of life is and who we are. And the most beautiful part of the game is it's all about perception. And I do want to dive into the laws of the universe at one point, because once you kind of understand the fabric of reality, like all the laws that govern this universal experience and reality that we're in, it makes life a hell of a lot easier because you can see it more as this video game. But for today's episode, I kind of want to just more lock into manifestation so you can get the actual tools and tips and tricks that I've personally used to skyrocket myself in business. Okay, let's get straight into the manifestation goodness. The biggest problem that I find people coming up against when they really want something, which a manifestation, when people think of the word manifestation, they think of wanting a desire. But the word manifest is really just to make the unseen seen. So it's something that isn't currently there that then becomes real, I guess, in your physical reality. And what I've learned to be true about manifestation is that everything is true, everything is real. It's just being able to make it actually appear in your 3D physical reality. And when I say 3D, I mean 3D is like the three-dimensional reality, which is what we are in, which is how we perceive life through the five senses. But there's a fourth dimension and there's a fifth dimension. And that's all scientific. It's not woo-woo stuff. But those fourth and fifth dimensions are things that we and our own human consciousness don't have access to. So it's something that it's hard to even fathom what those dimensions are. And the only way we can perceive what's around us is through those five senses. And obviously you can see it with animals and you see it with different parts of nature. They all of us have different levels of how we use our five senses. Like for example, my dog's name is Zeus, by the way, and he's the cutest thing in the world if you haven't heard about him. But he's a staffy. He, for example, obviously his 5 senses, they have better hearing than us. They have a different ability to smell, and that's obviously evolutionary. And so his perception of reality is so different to what my perception is, and his cognitive ability is obviously very different to mine. And so when you think of it like that, you can kind of see everyone does experience reality differently in terms of different animals and different living objects on Earth. And so we've got to think of ourselves that way, is that we aren't actually as smart as what we think we are. We don't have the abilities sometimes that we think that everything we can see and perceive is all that there is. And that is ridiculous to think that way. Because when you think of all the animals and you think of nature and the magic of life itself, there's so much more out there than what we can even fathom. And so when you're wanting something and you're wanting something to appear into your physical reality, could be anything, like you want to find your soulmate, you want to have a baby, you want to have better health, you want to have your dream business come to life, you want to own a home, all the things that you desire and you really want in life. We then call that, I want to manifest that into my reality. And the problem is the word wanting, because the law of the universe that we've all heard of, the most popular law, but there's actually 11 other laws other than this one, but this is the one that kind of most directly relates to manifestation, and that is the law of attraction. And that is that like attracts like, not wishing or wanting attracts like, it's like attracts like. We are all magnets to everything. Everything in energy, anything in the reality is all magnetizing other things toward it that are similar. And what I take my coaching clients through lately is I talk about the fact that we are all energy readers, and you can feel energy and you can't tell me you don't. Like, you all do. If you walk into work at lunch and, there's a few people sitting down and you walk in and you can tell they've just stopped talking about something and they're all smiling and they're all happy, but you're like, something is so off. Like, you can feel that energy. Or when my husband comes home from work and I can tell he's had an absolute crap, shitty day, I can feel it in his energy, even though he's trying to hold it in and he's got the smile on his face, the words he's speaking. My 5 senses are like, okay, he's speaking normal, his body language is normal, all the things are normal to say that he's happy and good. But I know there's something off, and it's an energy, and that's his aura and literally emitting and broadcasting the frequency of the emotion that he's going through. And not only can I feel that from him, but what you'll find is if your husband, for example, comes home and he's grumpy, even though he's trying to not act grumpy, you then pick up on that energy and you start to physically match your energy to his. And then you both become grumpy because his energy attracted more of that into his life. And you'll find it with your kids. And you find that whenever you're stressed, more things in your life seem to become hella stressful because it's hard to, I know it's really hard sometimes to understand how things that are physical objects can be drawn towards you, or opportunities can be drawn towards you, and how can something that's a physical object, like dropping your coffee or running late for work then because this person pulled out in front of you and then you got stuck at the lights, how can physical things happen just from your energy? And I know it's hard to fathom, but energy is everything. So those cars are also energy. Those people driving the cars are energy. And so we don't realize just how powerful our broadcasting signals are. And you'll see it in the opposite sense when someone is really positive and uplifting and inspirational, or they're just in a really happy mood. It is so hard for your energy not to match that. It is almost impossible. When my daughter is singing 5 Little Ducks in the cutest little tone, if I've had a shit day or I've just had a crappy moment happen, I physically cannot stay in that state because her state and her aura and her frequency is so beautiful and wholesome that I am matching it for her. So she's creating more of that in her reality. And as you can see, the law of divine oneness, which is the first law of the universe, is at play here because we are all one. We are all interconnected in such a complex way when you think about it that way. So her energy is pulling me into that high vibe, and my husband's was pulling me into that vibe. And then I've got my own, and we're all this huge ripple effect of the collective consciousness is at play at all times. And so when you think of it that way, you can really understand how if you're showing up and you're broadcasting the energy of the manifestation that you want, then like energy is literally going to attract towards you, because we're all a collective consciousness. So we're all like telepathic to each other without even realizing it. And I've really started to understand that even more with my like soul card readings I've been doing, which has been something I've been so nervous to do because I don't consider myself like psychic or anything. Like that's not, like I wouldn't call myself that, but I've realized that my intuition can so easily connect with another human being and get the exact message that they needed without even knowing what they were asking for, because I am connected to them, because I'm telepathic to them, because we're made from the same life force. We are the same thing, but with just different character avatars that we're playing for this earth experience. It's so interconnected. It's wild. And then not only are you interconnected to other humans, you're also then interconnected to all the other beings that aren't actually in a physical body, which is where it gets really effing powerful, when you actually call upon source energy and you call upon things that aren't in your vision, in your five senses, in your 3D. Anyway, I'm getting so off topic. This is like, I'm worried this is going to be the thing I do this whole podcast, but like, well, I'm just a yapper. I'm just a yapper. That's probably why you came here. And this is why I need this outlet, because I need to yap, and hopefully it's helping someone. And I'm not going to censor myself. I'm not going to make this perfect. I'm just going to go with the flow and be who I truly am, because that's all I can ever be anyway. So when you want something desperately, that frequency that you're then emitting is operating from that place of lack. When you are constantly thinking about what you want, you are operating from a frequency of lack, and lack attracts like. So you're going to attract more wanting. And this is what I call the wanting paradox. I was stuck in the wanting paradox for probably like 2 years in terms of my Daily Glow Up brand, where I so badly wanted to be an author. I wanted to have a huge following on Instagram. I wanted to be well known. I wanted to have all the things. I wanted to have the podcast. I want to have like offers. I want to be having like, this is my full-time job that I earn a lot of money from. Like I'm really wealthy from it, because it then allows me to impact more people. I wanted all those things. And for the longest time, I almost didn't even take any action on it, because I was so misaligned in terms of, I would just close my eyes and I would do a meditation or a visualization, and I would have such clear knowings in my gut, like I'm an author, like I know I will be. And at this point, I hadn't even really written my book properly yet. It's like, well, how do I know that? How do I know those feelings? And I like to think of like, a lot of spiritual mentors say as well, is that your soul actually sends you those nudges and those downloads and those signals and breadcrumbs of where to go, because they're memories from your future. They're things that your path has in store for you. There's free will within that. I don't truly believe in fate in that way, and that's going to be an episode I'll talk about as well. But your higher self, that source energy, downloads this information into you and puts a desire on your heart for a reason. So if you're desiring something and it's from a place of like that intuitive, non-logical place, like not a ego place, like I want to be an author so that I can be respected. No, it's like I have this desire to be an author and I'm scared to do it because I'm worried I won't be respected. Like there's that opposite there, where it's actually kind of not logical for you to go down that path. Those type of soul desires are wild, because they've come to you for a really strong reason. And I had that wanting for ages and ages and ages, and I felt like I was doing all the right things. Like I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm very logical as well. Like I studied psychology at a university level. I understand the brain. I understand your subconscious thoughts. I understand all the things. And not only that, from pretty much I was born, I've been taught how to meditate and how to manifest and about angel numbers and all the things. So I was like, how am I not achieving what I want? And the biggest thing that was the biggest breakthrough for me was this idea of the wanting paradox, and that I had to stop wanting, but I didn't know how I was able to not want, and then also not make it clear to the universe. Well, if I'm not acting like I want it, how does the universe, and how am I going to manifest something in my reality if I'm not saying out loud that I want it? And the trick is, you need to not want it. You need to pretend that you already have it. And that is the hidden rule that has absolutely flipped my world upside down. Because the more I wanted it, the more I would always want it. And it's the same with if you're wanting to be a homeowner. If you want your house so badly and you want this specific style of house, if you're constantly thinking about wanting it, you are then emitting and telling the universe that you currently don't have it. And the cool part about the universe and source energy and this lovely video game we play, is the only rule is that the universe will deliver to you unconditionally everything, not that you want, but who you are being. Your energy is being. Whenever you are broadcasting, they will put, like, the universe puts back to you like attracts like constantly. So it's like that beautiful sense of like taking radical responsibility for your own reality and know that nothing is out of your power. Everything is within your power. And so there is no conditions. There is no punishing you or rewarding you. And that's going to be another episode as well, like talking about that in depth, because that's another wild thing that I think has changed my perspective as well, like not seeing the universe so separate from us. But when you operate from lack, it's just going to create more lack and more fear, and you're going to continually be sitting in this feeling of wanting something. And so my story began when I was kind of hitting that little bit of a rock bottom. Like, my book had launched, things were starting to happen, things were getting really exciting, but I was just hitting this wall of like, I had about 5,000-6,000 followers, I think, at the time. So that was still huge, but that took me like a whole year to build up. And a lot of those followers weren't really genuine followers, because a lot of the people I would find that would be following me are other pages that would post quotes and other really small creators, less than 200 followers, who would follow me. And then I had this strong inkling, and I was usually always right, that like they follow you and then they unfollow you if you don't follow them back. And even if you do follow them back, I think they unfollow you anyway. And it's like to try and build up their own following, which is fine, part of the process. But it's like I didn't, even though I had 5,000 followers, like I was actually losing more than I was gaining. And it was just like this perpetual cycle. And in terms of sales, like I just wasn't doing anything intense. Like it just felt like an uphill battle. I was like, I know I can do this. Like, why isn't it happening? Like, I'm doing all the steps. I've got the business strategist. I'm posting daily, sometimes 3 times a day on my platforms. I'm putting myself out there. I'm creating other offers. I'm doing everything possible. And I'm meditating every single night before I go to bed, visualizing my future self, doing, subconscious reprogramming. I've got my vision board that's very clear and it's very precise. I was like, and I just don't get it. Every time I pull an oracle card, it was like, birth your ideas. I would get the same card over and over again, which was birth your ideas. And it was all about like literally birthing my idea of this brand that I created. I was like, well, when's it going to happen, universe? When is the momentum going to kick in? And I realized when I actually spoke out loud, okay, well, what would Molly, who has all of these things, be doing? Because she wouldn't be emitting a frequency of all this wanting and all this like desperation almost. Like she would be so chill as fuck, calm as ever, because if she had a huge following online and she was so wealthy that she had all of her money invested in stable areas so that she could just live her dream and not have to worry about money at all, like it just wasn't a thing on her mind, she would not be feeling the way that I'm feeling. And if our feelings and our energy is what is going to create our reality, then no wonder I wasn't manifesting my dream. No wonder that things weren't happening for me. And so I joined the Conscious Creators membership with Georgie Stevenson, and I followed her for the longest time. And that was really the kick in the butt I needed to remind me that I am in control. I do create my reality, and that I need to look within. I need to stop looking outside of myself for the answers, and I need to look within myself and go, what am I actually doing that is holding me back? And I created this hybrid manifestation formula of embodying your future self now, which is what people say, but taking it that next step further. So for the 2 weeks before my life blew up in a good way, I locked into this formula. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped refreshing my Instagram following profile a gazillion times a day and my Amazon book sales. And I locked in and got really clear through just journaling practices, basically, who Molly was in 5 years, and time is a bit weird, so you don't have to do 5 years, but I just felt like 5 years was like, I wanted to go enough that it felt like a big jump. Who is the version of me who has every single thing she wants? Every single little thing she wants. Who is she and how does she show up in the world? And when I did this, I was like, my God, I'm so misaligned. Like, I actually don't think I do a single thing that she would do, because she would wake up and she would meditate, or she would go outside in the fresh air and have her coffee outside in the fresh air and like take the day in. She wouldn't go straight on her phone and check if she's got more followers. Like, she wouldn't even give a damn if she had any followers overnight. Like, it doesn't even matter to her because she's got so many, she wouldn't be able to keep up anyway. And it was just wild. I was like, oh my God. And that's why this is so powerful, because I have a lot of people that I follow as well, and a lot of people in my sphere who think they're manifesting, and I know they're not, because they're not doing this. And you actually find what your limiting beliefs are way faster this way than asking yourself what's blocking you and trying to figure out the why and go into those subconscious places, because you're just going to bring out more lack instead of bypassing and getting to this high state where you almost time travel into the future. And then that stark juxtaposition between the future and the now helps you bridge that gap. And so what I did for those 2 weeks was I became her, not in a imaginary sense, in a physical sense. I believe that time's not linear. It's the stuff that I've spoken about a lot on my socials. A lot of spiritual mentors talk about it, and quantum physicists like studying this right now, that, you know, the future and the past are all happening in this one moment. There is no such, like, if you think of that video game, like in a video game, there is no like past games and future games. It's like all part of this game, in that system, in that program. Like, it's all happening at the one time. And so you can just pick to be a different character in a different, you know, year or whatever it is. Like, you can just pick whatever you want, and you can up level or down level or do whatever. You just get to pick just by being that person. You just change the avatar, you change the environment that you're in. And so when you think of time like that, what I would do is I would look at the timeline and I would say, okay, well, who's the person I desire to be? And I would literally curate that character, that avatar. Who is she? What does she dress like? How does she act? What job does she do? When does she wake up? When does she go to bed? What activities does she do? How does she treat her kids? What's her balance with work and life? What's her relationship like with her husband? And I literally would grab her from the future and I would bring her into my current reality. So I would do a ritual of shedding. And it took me a while to shed my old version. Like, it's very emotional when people say they want to be a new person, but you have the fear of loss is worse. And everyone says this saying, we love a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Like, we all, our ego and our identity just wants to feel safe and the same. As part of how it keeps you in your ego and your identity. And so I was literally like trying to say goodbye to like the school that I used to teach at. Like, that to me was really emotional. And even though every single day I went there, I was like, I'm ready to leave. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be writing my book. I want to be at home doing this, filming a podcast. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm done here. But when it came to actually the idea of saying goodbye to it, it felt really emotional. So there was still a lot of energetic cords holding me onto my old version, which is totally normal. So I had to sever those cords, and I have a ritual practice that I do in order to like sever and shed the old me. And I did that, and I really said goodbye, and I did lots of letters, and I did all my rituals and my meditations in to say goodbye to the old version, and to be grateful for her and to be thankful for her and appreciative of all that she's done. And then what I did was I grabbed that future version of me, and I also did that ritual practice of like shifting that timeline and allowing her to come into the present day. And now I am the version, like it's this weird thing where like I like to think of it as time traveling. So if you can think of it as time traveling, it really does help your human brain understand it, because people talk about quantum leaping all the time and it's great, but it does feel still like you're in a becoming era. Like when you're quantum leap, like I've obviously quantum leaped. It's what I've done. I've changed my whole timeline. But still, even with quantum leaping, it's not like you close your eyes and you wake up and everything's different. Like it's not like I closed my eyes and I woke up and I had 1 million followers. I had hundreds of thousands of book sales overnight, and I had, you know, a whole brand new mansion that I lived in. Like, it's not so stark. You still have to experience the unfolding, but it just happens in a really accelerated way. And when you've experienced it, you'll understand that like you genuinely feel like a new person. And I'm sure you've all gone through situations in life where you've had a big life change. You might have had a breakup, you might have had changed schools or gone from school to uni, and big life changes, or you've become a mother for the first time, and you really do feel like you've become a whole new person. And I definitely felt that shift from going from the old me to the new me. And when I say traveling back in time, I really do mean I want you to think of it like you've gone into a spaceship and you've gone to the future, you've got that person, and now that old person's gone away into whatever realm, whatever other timeline, and you've grabbed that one and you've pulled her into this physical reality. So yes, the evidence you see, for example, I still only had the 6,000 followers and I was still losing followers a day and I was still gaining zero. Those 2 weeks leading up, I still had zero book sales. That's true. That's what I can see with my naked eye. But I am not using that evidence to mean anything for me, because what I would say is that my reality is just a projection of what I believe to be true. And so the more that I look at my followers and I keep reiterating over and over again that it's hard to gain followers, it's taking so long to gain followers, I'm losing followers daily, or why do I still have no sales? Oh, it's so hard to sell books on Amazon. Like, why isn't there enough sales coming through? How do I get my message out to more people? When you're constantly living in that state, you're then going to continually keep creating it. And that is all very subconscious patterns. And those subconscious patterns only came to the light when I started to realize that if I was the person if I just ignored my reality delusionally, like just genuinely not looked at it at all, and just pretended it was not there and that it was all just fake, then I'm not actually acting from that frequency of that abundance and that, place of success. And so if I don't believe in myself, how can anyone else believe in me? And if I don't act from that place of success, how can success come to me? It's like we're not aligned at all. And what's hard about this is not letting the evidence affect you emotionally, because obviously the evidence is what makes us believe it's true. But it's actually the opposite way around. And so it's like this weird cycle of like, you'll loop the pattern where we go, oh, well, like I don't have any followers physically, so I don't. But then if you keep saying that, of course, you're going to still not have them. So it's weird. And a lot of it isn't conscious. Like we have so many thoughts every second of every day, and like thoughts can go so fast. Like our brain moves a million miles a minute. So you can't obviously audit every thought every second. So it's really important to have one of those days where you audit all your thoughts and you kind of really spend some time being really aware of your thoughts, because that does make a big difference. But so for those 2 weeks, like for example, a really good example that I've been giving people is I go to like the park with my kids and I would pretend, because no one knows me there, they're just random mums that live in the area, that I am this big influencer, I'm this global author, I'm like best-selling mindset, mentor, manifestation coach, blah, blah, blah. At this point, I still only had, like the 6,000 followers and no sales. But I was like, wow, it feels really like, how do I even feel like her? Because I didn't even know what that feeling was. And so we all know that like nothing external can make us feel anything. The feeling comes first and then the external reality. It doesn't actually have any meaning, because whatever's actually there, like when I went to East Timor, like those people were happier than the Kardashians, but the Kardashians' external reality looks a lot better than what someone in East Timor who has no clean water, no food, no education. How can that reality mean anything? But they were happier. So our external reality doesn't actually have anything to do with creating happiness. Happiness is created by you, and you can either choose to feel the feeling after something's been given to you, or you can choose to have the feeling first and then the thing will come to you. So there's like a little blend there that kind of goes to and fro from one another. And so when I started to go to the park and I was like, okay, well, how does she feel? How does the person who has, all these followers and all this impact and living her dream act? And I just tried it on. And then when you try it on and you almost role play it, you realize just how different it feels to be that person. And I just religiously did that day after day after day. And I really locked in. Like I locked the fuck in. I didn't do this half-hearted. I didn't switch in and out all the time, which, you do at times, but I really did lock in to like commit to the 2 weeks to be really strong-willed in terms of making a conscious effort to like put reminders on my phone to keep me in that practice and not slip back into just autopilot. And when I'd go for walks in the afternoon with my husband, like I'd be walking as if I was her. And if I got a notification on my phone, I would like put it up and be like, okay, I would literally say out loud to my husband, oh, another 100 new followers just in the last few minutes. Like I would act as if and physically say it out loud, and he would giggle at me because he knows it's not true. But I was literally pretending that I was delusionally in a whole new world, and what was on my phone actually wasn't real. Like that's not my actual evidence, because I actually do live in the reality where I have so many followers and I have so many book sales coming out my ears and opportunities that I can live my dream and I can help others doing it. And I did that with every area of my business. I did that with how I showed up in my personal life as well. I started speaking more confidently in my posts as well, because I was like, okay, well, if I am that person, and I started to claim wanting to be that. I think before then I was being so humble and so naive and so like quiet, because I didn't want to really announce loudly that this is what I wanted to this level in case I did fail. But certainty bends reality. And so I needed to become so certain that this was already true for me, that I was already that person. And she just gets to like enjoy the process of watching it happen, because she's already lived it before. She's already felt herself become that person. She knows what the future is locked in for her, because she is coming back in the past and experiencing it for the first time. And that quite literally changed my whole entire life so far. So there was those 2 weeks. And what I want to warn you, and we're going to have an episode on this soon, is shit will hit the fucking fan, because when your physical reality, your video game has to reprogram, things have to fall apart and lessons come in for you so that the universe and for you to align back with that new identity. So you have to choose. You have to become who you say you are. So like every single time I would get that notification that my daycare bill was in and I had no rebate yet, so I was bleeding money there. Every single day I woke up and I didn't have a relief teaching shift, so I couldn't go to work that day and I had no money coming in. I don't allow those tests and those challenges to mean anything other than I'm on the right track, because like when I had to quit my job and my teaching, sphere, so many things went wrong in that process because it was forcing me out, because things need to break down in order for them to shed and the new to come to life. And I needed to be reminded over and over again, are you who you say you are? You're this new version, this global author, whatnot. Or are you going to slip back into, I'm this person who's in scarcity. Nothing happens for me. Things are slow for me. I want to be this, not I am this. And I knew that those challenges came in my path and pushed me and pushed me and pushed me at the limit for me to go, how much can I hold? How much can I stay strong? How delusional can I actually be when every single thing in my reality is telling me otherwise, and I'm still showing up as the person who believes that these things are true? And I can guarantee pretty much everyone watching this will understand that that is really effing hard. And this is why I'm actually getting emotional about it. This is why your manifestations aren't working. This is exactly why they're not working, because have you locked that the fuck in? Have you locked in that hard that everything that got thrown your way, you ignored it? Every single thing that got thrown in your face that was opposite of what you wanted, do you let it penetrate you, or do you literally let it bounce off you like a force field? Because that's what I did. And I really want to preface that this doesn't mean that you act in your physical reality as that person. So you don't just get up and quit your job and just be completely broke and just expect money to come in because you're that certain. You don't go to the shops and buy like the $500 outfit that you would buy if you were that rich person. You don't go spending, hundreds of dollars on Meta ads or whatever it is because that's what she would do. You don't actually have to physically do anything in your reality to make the change. You follow the breadcrumbs of where the opportunities come. Like in that 2 weeks, I had certain ideas that came in from my business strategist. I had certain opportunities and follow it. Like people like Georgie Stevenson followed me for the first time. Like Rise and Conquer asked me to be an affiliate. Like there was little inklings of like avenues to go down and opportunities to take. So I was actioning everything. I was showing up, but you're not making huge, vast physical changes in your reality like she would live. Like I'm not going to go up and sell my house and go buy, like expect that a new $1 million mansion's going to come in the next day. because that's going to create more fear and more lack. Because when you make huge changes like that in your physical reality, it's going to be really hard if you haven't then stayed strong and practiced being that future version of yourself long enough to really become her, because you're going to be too locked into this fear of things not working out when you go that drastic. You actually just need to not actually look at all at the evidence, and you need to just become into this imaginary place, like in this, like, you need to think of it like a video game. Like, it's not about what's in front of you, it's about what's in your mind, and then you're going to project that on, and you've just got to not wait for it to happen. You know that it's happening in your internal world, and then your physical reality is already rearranging things behind the scenes. Phone calls are being made. People behind the scenes are talking about you to give you this opportunity, or the contractors for your house that's being built or whatever are literally drafting up emails that are going to be sent to you. Like, things are happening. They may not be happening in your actual face. Like, you may not be getting the email yet. You may not be hearing that phone call, but it's all happening behind the scenes for you right now, not in the future or not when things sort out. Like, no, right here, right now, in that moment, it is all happening for you. And I think that's the piece that you see in a lot of manifestation formulas, is the last piece is detachment, because insistence equals resistance. The more you insist on something happening a certain way, the more that your energy is resisting it. Because if you're insisting on it so hard and you're insisting on it happening in this format, it means that you are still coming from a place of lack. You are coming from a place of control and not a place of knowing. Because if you're in a place of calm knowing, you just know things are going to unfold exactly how they're meant to. You don't have to force an outcome. You don't have to chase an outcome. You just let it happen. So that was a really important part, the detachment part. But that's how this method works, because you do detach from it, because you don't actually look at the evidence anymore. I was so attached to my followers. The first thing I do when I wake up is open up my Instagram and refresh and see how many new followers I had overnight. And that's hella disappointing when you've got less followers than what you went to bed with. So you no longer are attached to the outcome, because you just don't search. And when you do search, you don't actually look at the number. You imagine the now I have 15 something thousand followers. I don't look at it as 15,000. I look at it as 150,000. Like, you just picture it different in your head. And with going to the shops, like, or if you're doing a facial, for example, go to the shops, get the facial treatment or whatever it is in the store that you can afford, that your physical reality in the matrix has in your bank account. You pay for that with your actual money. But when you buy it, you just imagine that it's like this $500 treatment that you've gone to a salon to do. And when you actually do it in your bedroom, you can imagine that you're at this fancy salon that you get to go to once a week because you have this wealthy lifestyle, you know? Or if you are renting and you want to imagine being in your own home, for example, or you're in like a different place and you want to be living outside of, like, not with your parents anymore or whatever it is, you just imagine that your bedroom is your home. Like, you just have to be really delusional in projecting it to be a different way. If you're single and you want to be imagining your future husband, you don't imagine that he's somewhere else and you're waiting to meet him. You imagine that you already have him and you're already with him, and he's just not there right now in your bed because he's out at the groceries getting you guys dinner. Like, you always picture it as if it's already in the now, not waiting for it to happen. And that's literally the key to unlock your wildest manifestations so quickly. So, like, at the end of those 2 weeks, and I say 2 weeks like it's like I planned it to be 2 weeks. I didn't know how long this was going to take. That's why I'm so proud of myself for doing it, because it could have taken me another 2 years for all I know. You don't know what your future holds. And so at the end of those 2 weeks, I was literally said to my husband, I was like, hey, can I quickly go in our room and just like type up a post for tonight? Because I was a bit behind on my content. I was in such a good vibe. It was a Friday afternoon. We were just happy. Honestly was feeling like that kind of settled into those 2 weeks of being this new version of me. And every morning I was saying, like, how does she show up today? And I felt just so at peace and so calm. I was like, I didn't really care anymore. I was just in this weird state that day. And I was just so happy that the weekend was coming and we could spend time as a family. Went in my room, was really like inspired by the Year of the Horse. And I think the timing of like shedding the Year of the Snake and saying goodbye to old Molly and then becoming this new version, like ready for the Year of the Horse to start. I was like, I really want to do a post on the Year of the Horse. And so I started typing out my intuitive like feels for January to December for the Year of the Horse. And I was like, this is so fun. I was typing it all out and then I was like, perfect. Posted it. And then I barely looked at my phone that night because, again, it didn't matter if I looked at my things. I was like, oh, well, like I'm doesn't affect me. And had a beautiful night with my husband and my kids, went to bed, and then that next day I went to the movies with my friends, and I noticed how much traction it was getting. And like by the time I went to the movies with my friends, it was like at 100,000, and like my posts would get like 500 views usually. Like that was a good one. Maybe 3,000 was like the max I would kind of get, and that post was at 100,000, which was huge for me. And I remember feeling such just shock and like, oh my God, what has happened? And instead of going to this spiral of like, oh my God, I need to do this, I need to do that, I remember saying to my friend Ashley, I was like, I know I can hold this. I needed to hold my energy steady and go, like everything I wanted happened. That's another podcast episode I want to do as well. Like when your manifestations do come in, you can sabotage yourself and not be able to hold them, because what could happen is that could come in and then that could have been my baseline. That's it. 100K. I don't get any other posts that go viral. But I was like, if I want to hold this and I want to let it grow and I want to receive the goodness from this, I need to hold my baseline steady and not come back to that lack of this feels uncomfortable for me. This is new, unfamiliar for me. No, this is familiar for me because all my posts go viral, because I'm this well-known content creator. You know what I mean? So it needs to come from that place of and that energy. And I did that. And that post went up to 2 million views in the end. And I got thousands of dollars of book sales from that one post. And I also got double my followers from just that one post. And so it all happened so fast over that weekend. It was wild. And then I just kept on the back of that, post after post after post, started to become more viral. And then things just fell into place. And then there's been ebbs and flows where I go through a week or two where I don't have as many sales or I might not have as many followers. But then there's a day, a single day, and all like hundreds of dollars come through in the one day. And you're just like, it's wild how like that's just business, you know, and that's accepting that in business. And I'm just blown away with how fast things could happen. And it was just such a coincidence of how strict I was on this formula. And then bam, everything happened so fast, which is wild. So I really, really encourage you to also take some time and lock in like I did if you really want this manifestation that's on your heart, in your desires. And then obviously, of course, if you are someone like me who really want to dive in, you've got a really big goal that you want to achieve and you really want to accelerate your process and you want someone to bounce ideas off, you want someone to vibe with, I also do my one-on-one manifestation coaching. So you can check that out as well on my Instagram if you'd like to like have a one-on-one chat for me, and I can like take you through my own process and kind of bounce ideas and see where your direction is going and where maybe your blocks are, and help you shift out of them. But I think that's it for today's episode. I think like I've gone way over. I knew I would go way over. I was like, let's make it this a 30-minute podcast, and it's like an hour so far. So that's great. I knew I would because I'm a yapper, and this stuff just lights me up so much. I could talk about it for hours. Next episode, guys, we are going to talk about signs. And so what I'm going to talk about is, are signs from the universe real, or are we seeing what we want to see? I'm going to really dive into like, what are angel numbers? What are, signs, like an animal sign, like where do they come from? What do they mean? And how can we use them to also help us make the right decisions and trust our intuition on what avenue we need to go in to like get our manifestations or to live our dream life or to make a decision when we're just so stuck. So the next episode's all going to be about that. So keep an eye out for that one. And I'm just so grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope that today, I know that I probably changed a lot, and like I'm still getting very new to this. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm literally I don't think, I just do. I just make things happen. And I really hope you got something out of this and that this has inspired you, and that hopefully you embody these practices. And I'd love to hear about it. Like DM me, come chat to me on Instagram if your manifestations do come to life, or any just insights you got from it. Like this would mean the world to me. Like doing this podcast is my actual dream. And to hear that it's actually helping someone would just be the cherry on top. So please, please, please reach out. I read every single DM myself, and I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next episode.